God who himself has the power over all. So as we give in the series establishing and letting you know that God has the power over all, for you to understand that there is no power on earth can change what God has ordained. Even at the time before the war, could somebody even stop the war? Did they know that the war was coming? Of course they did not know. Could they help it? No. It's a reminder of the sovereign of the Lord establishing himself and letting the world that have forgotten him that he's still here and in line in the sequence of events that will take place before the end of time. For you always hear people talk about the end of the time is a sign of the end of the time, and they were talking about the end of the time, but today I am bringing you to know that it did not start today, and it's not the only time that it has happened. Is constantly reminding, and at a time when people begin to go out of character and begin to behave as Lord and begin to act inappropriately and begin to deviate from the way it was already ordained, the Lord will bring them back to remind them that he is still God and he is still in charge, and there is nobody that can reveal his plan unless he reveal it to you. Neither can anybody be able to force or exercise a power that is greater than his own. They make plans, try to connive and sabotage and undermine what God already had decreed in the prophecies that is given. But you have seen how exponentially the sequence of events is increasing. It was a smaller thing in Ukraine. Nobody talks about Ukraine as they used to, but now the Lord has given them something that is more consequential and more severe and more terrifying if it is not managed properly and handled with submission to God. And if they try to show they got a power, the Lord will exponentially bring something even greater to bring them to submit, to understand that he is indeed God of all the earth. And if they don't believe it, let them challenge God in this season and in this hour, even in this war, and see whether it will not escalate to the place where they themselves will be finding to fight for their own life and their own survival. Let them test the Lord on that and see. So you will see, then Esau took his wives and I'm reading now Genesis 36 from verse 6, and his sons and his daughters and all his household and his livestock and all his cattle and all his goods, which he had acquired in the land of Canaan, and went to another land away from his brother Jacob. They were living together in peace, but they had so much that is no longer enough for two of them. So Esau had to move. The first son that is supposed to occupy the land had to move to go to another land for the younger son, as was ordained out of the mouth of Isaac. For their property had become too great for them to live together, and the land where they sojourned could not sustain them because of their livestock. So Esau lived in the hill country of Seir. Esau is Edom. You see the name now changes. Esau is Edom. The name changed to Edom, or giving him another name, Edom. So anywhere you see the Edomites, they are the descendants of Esau. And I will ask you to read the entire 36 so that you can also see the descendants. And from the descendants, you can also see how they lived around the deserts. And if you see where they are, you will also see the word of the Lord. And then I will take you to a few more verses so that you can see in the book of Obadiah. And I'll take you to the book of Obadiah. The book of Obadiah. The book of Obadiah. In the book of Obadiah in chapter 1, in the book of Obadiah in chapter 1, I'll read from verse 18. Then the house of Jacob will be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, but the house of Esau will be as stubble, and they will set them on fire and consume them, so that there will be no survivor of the house of Esau. For the Lord has spoken. Then those of the Negev will possess the mountain of Esau. So whatever that belongs to Esau will be taken over by those of the Negev, and none of the descendants of Esau will survive. And those of the Shephirah, the Philistine plain, also possess the territory of Ephraim and the territory of Samaria. And Benjamin will possess Gilead, and the exiles of this host of the sons of Israel, who are among the Canaanites as far as Zarephath, and the exiles of Jerusalem, who are in Shepherd, will possess the cities of the Negev. The deliverers will ascend Mount Zion to judge the mountain of Esau, and the kingdom will be the Lord's. The kingdom will be the Lord's. He was talking at this time about prophesying about things to happen in the future. Things to happen in the future. So I'm trying to make the connection so that you can see the relationships about things to come and things that had happened. So you see the dispersion of all the people of Israel from the land of Israel. And even though they're coming back now, since 1964, when whatever date that was, when they reestablished Israel. But I want you to also remember about also the coming of Christ as he's coming. So I want to take you again, apart from the Obadiah, let's go to the book of Jeremiah. Let's go to Amos, the book of Amos in chapter 1, and I'm going to read from verse 11. Thus says the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not revoke its punishment. The Lord said he will not revoke the punishment he gave him for detesting what God had given you. So there may be something